just a second. We needed to.
Great, thank you.
There we go.
So this is history to Jasmine, son?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, well, no, I know. Somebody,
No, I'm gonna go up there one. Put it even. Yeah.
Chris is one.
With sidekick.
Me and Chris were from the company the same place. And John.
They won't go away.
Me, Tim and John were all in there. We all kind of, we all went our separate ways. We all ended up together.
Everything well? Okay, so Tim did his thing.
It's just crazy like that. Well, I saw Tim. I had to look at him and say,
Oh, she's so nervous.
this really kicked it up. Same country club couple.
We may need to keep it that way because if we go to presentation mode, remember the pictures disappear. Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Just let me know when you're ready to go.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at
I thought
that.
she was gonna work this slide.
We just can't listen to him. But yeah.
She should.
Small world. Wow.
What's her name?
There we go.
So Mike.
Okay, good evening, guys. This is
Why don't you look your own slide?
I clicked this.
All right, let's go for it.
This is class managed to 290. Consists of the following students, myself, Ms. Wilson, Mendez, Mr. Cross, Harris, Ms. Carlton, and Mr. Johnson. So some quick, brief synopsis of, we're going to talk about the ancient city of Pompeii and how Pompeii came to their demise on that slide. Brief history of Pompeii. Pompeii is pretty much near Mount Venusus, which is a mountain, a volcanic mountain which erupted in 79 AD, which is located near the Bay of Naples. Had it been said, the mountain that exploded caused an eruption. This where the city itself was burned into ash, and this came to a demise where the people, they were just pretty much doing their everyday routine, they were doing their chores and all, where the city itself pretty much came under their demise there. Next slide. And you see this kind of like off the coast here, the city of Pompeii. This is a beautiful city. Next slide. Okay, pretty much how Rome was fluid.
Here's a reconstruction of what the bakeries looks like, and the Romans usually roasted, boiled, and oiled their cake. Next slide.
Next slide.
And the picture you see, this is what their ovens looked like back in the day. They used charcoal and wood, and when the wood was done burning down, they would put their food, whatever they were cooking at the time, in there, and then they covered it up, and that's how they kept the heat going for like baking. And it was made out of tiles and rubble. Next slide. The Romans didn't use spoons and forks. They used knives, which was made out of bones, wood, bronze. They also used ladles and dippers and strainers for like the soups and stuff. And here's some examples of their utensils. Next one. The cookware was made out of bronze. Here is a picture of what they would make, what they would use to make their soups a chain, and they will have firewood burning underneath. They will also cook in the large animals like the boar.
Gerard Moss, please come to the front desk. Gerard Moss, please come to the front desk.
The boar and the bison are roasted here, some examples.
The ingredients. The ancient Romans used mainly barley, olive oil, and wine. As Chef was saying before, it went by classes. So the rich people mainly ate the meats, beef, pork, lamb, chicken, fish. And so on. While the poor ate mostly vegetables and fruits like lettuce, apples, figs, nuts, cheese, and eggs.
So now I'm presenting Mr. Ross and Mr. Harris. Next slide, please. I'm Neon Harris, this is Randy Cross. Our presentation is going to be on preservation of food, storage, and transport.
Okay. Right here we got the transporting food, and with the Romans, with their military, they had very elaborate roads that are still in use today. So along the roads were used for not only the military, but transportation of food to different places of the city and also trade routes. And right here you can see that food was stored in clay pots with the small necks. That way it get less, less air. So it helped with the storage of food.
And the transport of the foods in the silos or the vessels were also used when they transported food to different ports and cities for sale. That preserved the olive oil, the wine, or whatever liquid that they preserved in the silos. This is another way they used to transport food besides the boats and roads. Most transport was done by carrying the items itself. This right here was another, that was a cooler. That was the first cooler ever made. I wanted to point that out. Preservation of food. They used to preserve the food by salting, snow, fermenting, drying. But their main way of preserving food was through salting.
Then, like I said, salting was the main preferred method of preserving food, especially with fish, along with drying in the Mediterranean area. And in the Egypt area, we're seeing that they have extreme heat during the day and then a drastic drop in temperature at night. They came up with a method that they would dig a shallow hole, put straw in a clay tray, a shallow clay tray with water, and from the temperature dropping at night and the condensation, it would somehow miraculously freeze, and they would have ice to use, but they would, like I said, they would have to use it early in the day because of the extreme heat. But that was also a way for them to preserve their food. Freeze the food. And also, the Egyptians, they would build cellars underneath their house, underground, which was another way that they could keep their foods preserved for over extended time. Then we got the storage of food, and like we said earlier, they use silos. They can be this small, or you see that picture there, they can be real big. And that was mainly for the grains, so after the harvest season was over with, they can store their grains and they can use them later throughout the year. And along with the storing of the grains, they also had the fermentation method, and that was also how they produced their beer along with the grains.
And the cellars under the house were used for the drying and smoking of the food, or the meats that they used to have. That concludes our presentation.
Okay, my part of the presentation was the traveling and the festivities part. Of the pointers in place where they stopped for food and lodging, which were people who traveled, like to sell stuff. And it was also for most of the time for the lower class. And traveling was very dangerous because there was no type of authority or anything. This is where y'all seen this a little bit earlier, where they stopped and got food, kind of like a modern day concession. And this is a Vagina. This is also kind of the same concept, but it was more like a wine bar stuff. And this is the atrium where they prayed, where they had flowers and stuff like that. This is also where they had where they held their festivities. And the togas were worn for formal, and the tunas were for informal dinner parties. Washing hands was a part of purification. It was real important. Alright, the seating arrangements, the whole set is in the top, and then the guests of honor set on the right. And there were 3 couches around the table, and 3 persons at each couch. Yeah. Dinner was placed on the table. There were no silverware, so they pretty much just helped themselves. Their courses were kind of the same as ours. First was the salad. Second part was veggies, eggs, or cheese or beans. The third would be meat or fish, and then for dessert you have fruit, pastries, or nuts for dessert. Wine was served throughout the courses. It was also diluted because it was bitter. They also used bread as napkins. So they didn't really have anything else. So once they were done wiping their face, hands, or whatever else, they threw on the floor for the animals to eat.
Oh my.
And bread was also used to eat soup, so they didn't have any utensils.
That's what she's supposed to be over there.
And for entertainment, they had music, poetry reading, small plays, juggling, or acrobatics.
They lay right down in the chair.
Thank you, everybody. So my president is the medical part. We're culinary, nice to cook everything, chopping up things, putting gravies and sauces together. But back in that time, they didn't have much that they could prepare for the luxuries. But no matter what you do, you still need somebody medical around. So that was the medical. It's just a little part of it. Go to that next one. Right here is how they use the bathroom. This is their sanitation, their toilets, their Roman toilets, but this was public. A lot of times they didn't have private baths. So they would have to, not everybody could go, they had to pay a fee to use the Roman bath. And here is their water fountain, where they would take things that would collect the rainwater and bring it together and come out of here. This is for more of the richer people. The poorer ones didn't have, of course, much, so they had to use the pots that they could, and also including the pots in here. They didn't really have anywhere for it to go, so they would throw the sanitation out, would pour people out the window, and for here they would go a couple of feet and throw the sanitation out. So there would be road, the streets would be filled with sewage. Also for sanitation,
like when they wash their hands for eating, they would have boil the equipment when they're using it for that. Foodborne illnesses. There was one burn, but most of the time they didn't really know about the bacteria and the germs. So whatever they ate, because they didn't really have the refrigeration and the knowledge of bacteria and germs, a lot of people got sick, vomiting, diarrhea, things as such. Next slide. Dental. So the course today is to brush our teeth, do a little mouthwash. Here they use what they could, twigs, leaves, whatever, to clean, sticks also to clean their teeth. Here is mouth. Here is the abscess. When they had abscess, they would cut away the abscess to do what they could. Sometimes they would have to fill it with the herbs that they had. If it got to a point where, of course, they did what all they could, sometimes here's the abscess exposed afterwards. And here you can see a tooth that went missing and can't. It's not like you go to the dentist and have them put it back in. So that's missing tooth. That's an abscess. Here's the caries or the cavities in the tooth. Also, their food, like you heard earlier, it was a lot of raw vegetables, and also the way that they grained everything down. There was parts in the food where it kind of was like eating sand. So the sand would kind of file the tooth down, and this is what happened is called attrition. So it would take the part of your tooth and expose, so this is like the inside of the tooth right here. And then here from Pompeii, with the lava and the ash preserving everything, this is what they found from Pompeii. I know I'm short, I'm sorry. You can see right here, that's food and bacteria of the tooth, and the ash preserved it. Where you can see that if you didn't have preservation, and it's right here. Next slide. All right, and again, like I said, the herbs, my classmate said earlier, they didn't have refrigeration, so they had to use what they had, which was herbs. A lot of the herbs came from roots and the bark and leaves and of the trees, and they grounded that down and used the different herbs to preserve food, also for healing. Also, like if you're dental, they would have the herb mixed with honey, and then they would pack it in a tube to kind of hold the tooth in place, or to cap the tooth. Also, and that would be opioids like poppy tea and hashish. And also they would use also wine, and put herbs in the wine and drink that for medical also. And that's what they usually use for preservation and treatment, just as their food was used for that medicine. Thyme was a very popular herb. It was used as an antidote for poison, or to help with try to keep from being poisoned. They would take the thyme and they would eat it before or after a meal, and also put it in the bath water. And for preventative, same thing. They could also take this and they use it as an antiseptic, also in their mouth and on their skin. And it was also a sign of bravery. And a lot of people would give each other time also. That's kind of like a sign of affection. I know that's not. It's time, so it was a presentation next. And then here we have Hippocrates. This is the father of medicine. Him with a few others after him came up with at least 600 different medicines from the different herbs. A very popular one was white willow bark, and what they used white willow bark, they found later on in what we now know as aspirin. And here his sedative are